For the program of today, I will share my screen. We have two sessions, as you know and have seen in the invitation, and by registering, you have noticed that as well. There is a first session from 3 to 5, in which we will give you an introduction. Excuse? I haven't understand that, so I suppose we can continue. For the session of this afternoon, there is an introduction on the ECCO project and an explanation on what we will do in this conference. And then we have two topics in the first session, which is an example from France. The what else methodology will be explained to you by Florian Guillot of 7 Setvan Cooperative. And afterwards, we will talk about CopeHub, which is a digital tool to manage energy communities. And this will be explained to you to Eric Bureau. He's working for Énergie Partagée, and René van Vliet from Econobis. This evening, we will continue with a second session, and then we will be talking about virtual power plants, and more specifically, we will be talking about community-based virtual power plants. And our colleague Nicolas Deruel of EPV will explain to you the ELF project, which is a pilot project on virtual power plants executed by Énergie Citoyenne de Pays de Vilaine, and they are a partner in the ECCO project. And afterwards, Tony Tecklenburg and Albert van der Meer will explain to you the pilot project they are running in Lochem on the first steps in trading energy between households. And at the end, there will be some space for discussion and closing remarks. So I suppose that we can have questions after each presentation or at the end of the session. If there are already very interesting questions you want to bring on, use the chat for that, then we can get back to it after the presentation. So for now, we will start with the introduction on the ECCO project. The ECCO project is running since 2017. I am coordinating it, and we are trying to create more new local energy community cooperatives. And 2018, the EU Commission approved the directives of the Clean Energy Package. And these directives want to create a new energy market and launch the concept of energy communities, abbreviated by us as ECCOs, Energy Community Cooperatives. Thanks to these approved directives, citizens, member of an ECCO, obtain new rights concerning the energy market. We see two important consecutive steps in the outline of these rights. Firstly, you can jointly invest in renewable energy, produce renewable energy, and store this energy. Secondly, citizens become actors on the energy market and may share and sell the self-produced energy. Regarding step 1, there are already local communities jointly developing successfully renewable energy initiatives, not only in energy saving and production, but also in common energy storage. The project partners of the Interreg Northwest Europe project ECCO believe that these energy communities can accelerate the energy transition in urban regions as well as in rural areas. If you want to accelerate the energy transition or exchange energy between regions, rural and urban areas, we will have to start with step 1, unlocking renewable sources in rural areas. Renewable energy allows for small generators in large numbers. Rural areas and especially farmers, have huge potential for renewable energy production. They have space, big rooftops, biomass production, knowledge of the seasons and the landscape, machinery, and entrepreneurship. Renewable energy allows also for local communities to get involved bottom up in their local energy supply, and the socio-economic benefits stay local, which will empower rural communities and rural development. That is why we started the ECCO project, to deploy these rural assets and to grow more ECCOs in numbers and in effectiveness. The ECCO partners started examining the development of 9 beacon ECCOs. These are demo sites in the ECCO project and good practice energy communities that are already operational since several years. 2 of these experienced and inspiring energy communities you will meet today during this ECCO conference. Lochem Energy from the Netherlands and EPV, Énergie Citoyenne en Pays de Vilaine from Brittany, France. Their spokesman, Tony Tekelenburg and Nicolas Diruel, are eager to share their experiences and gain expertise with you all. Based on the experience of existing good practices, beacon ECCOs such as Lochem and EPV, the ECCO project partners compiled an ECCO development timeline, a pathway to go for ECCOs. For each activity line and for each stage on the timeline, we gathered development tools and designed ECCO development support masterclasses, all helpful to make more energy communities and to professionalize energy communities. All the knowledge, methodologies, masterclasses, and tools for ECCO development are brought together in the ECCO one-stop shop. By adding a social networking platform to the ECCO one-stop shop, we built a digital knowledge framework where communities willing to start or develop an energy community can digitally meet each other and can exchange know-how, experiences, or documents helpful for development of community energy, or to reach out for other stakeholders such as academics, policymakers, other EU projects supportive to the ECCO development. This is what we call the ECCO Accelerator network. Thanks to the development of these ECCO tools, the ECCO partners reached out for 192 energy communities, which we support in their development. Until now, 34 are already producing renewable energy, resulting in 56,000 megawatt hours of renewable energy production per year and a total reduction of CO2 emission by more than 8,000 tons per year. And the members of these ECCOs leveraged funding for about 19 million euro. This proves that ECCOs are a viable model to accelerate the energy transition. Due to these results and driven by these ECCO successes, the project was selected by the Secretariat of Interreg Northwest Europe for a capitalization project, which was approved last year. This gave us the opportunity to extend the project towards summer 2022 and to start the exploration of step 2 in the outline of the new rights obtained in the EU directives. How can an ECCO enter the energy market and effectively act on it? How can an ECCO share and sell the self-produced energy? The ECCO partners believe that there are 3 needs to be answered. First of all, if you want to bring your product to the market, a kilowatt hour of community energy, you need entrepreneurship. It will be key to optimize your ECCO organization and management for this purpose. To strengthen this ECCO entrepreneurship, you will need new tools to support you in this continuous exercise. Secondly, to enter the market as an ECCO, you will need specific technology. This technology and knowledge we found thanks to a partnership with another Interreg Northwest Europe project called CVPP, Community Virtual Power Plants. And last but not least, we will have to convince policymakers to open the energy market by implementing and transposing properly the EU directives into national policy. We really need an effective enabling framework for community energy and energy communities. Today, the ECCO partners and our guest speakers want to take you through the first two topics. They will explain and tell you about their own ECCO entrepreneurship, the tools used, and their experiences with these tools via pilot projects they are running themselves. And finally, before giving the floor to the next speaker, I like to wish you all a very interesting ECCO Entrepreneurship Conference. So I give the floor for the first topic to the next speaker, which is my French colleague, I believe. I'm sorry, yes. Florian Guillaume. And I will stop my presentation. So Florian, it's up to you.
And do I have 30 minutes, is it?
I think so, yes.
Okay. So, can you see my screen?
It's okay.
It's okay. So thank you for this opportunity to explain our feedback from Normandy. So I am Florian Guillot and co-director of a cooperative located in Coutances in a rural area. And I will explain the methodology we used to develop our citizen-led community renewable project called What Else? The brief story of what we did just after the COVID lockdown, we were just at the moment of the outcome of a 5-year business plan, and then we got locked down. And it was not fully done, so every team members have had 2 months to think of what I will do when I come back, what I will do when I come back. And we came with a big bag of ideas, of an action plan. And then when we could meet again physically, we had this idea to settle What Else, which is our community project. And we chose the name for this renewable energy cooperative, which is embedded in Les Sept Vents. And we negotiated with Normandie Région and Énergie Partagée, which is a national contact point for this kind of projects. And they gave us support to make it uptake. So I will go more in detail of this story and explain you better where we started, what was the context and our needs at the start of this initiative. And then try to explain what tools we created and what these studies are useful for. And in the last slide, if you want to take this back home, it will be a presentation quite detailed of how to use these tools. I will go very quick, but if you want to reuse them, then you can pick up the slides from this presentation. So Les Sept Vents, in few words, we are a cooperative society with a collective aim, not for profit, created 20 years ago. Today we are 32 people and we have 140 members, and our main activities are to implement feasibility studies, audits, to provide advice to individual public bodies and companies. We have a training center and We do support local and regional policies in the domain of building energy, climate, sustainable development, and my studies were about innovation and Europe, and this is my dedication at Les Advents. The aim is to support the transition towards sustainable systems. Before it was to support the energy transition, and then we are going to more ecological and sustainable transition. So we have a part for individual, which is free. We provide them free advice for the renovation of their houses, a consultancy office for energy efficiency in buildings and renewable energies, feasibility studies. And my part is the innovation and European project department. New, we have a third place for sustainable development that was created this year. This renewable energy citizen hub we created not so long ago. So to introduce you to what else, it's a citizen renewable energy production powered by the cooperative Les Advents. And we started with a feasibility study that was co-funded by the Normandy region and Energy Partagée. And we had two goals. The first goal being to explain the condition of viability for the development of this kind of activity within Les Advents. And second goal, to formalize a self-assessment tool, allowing other cooperatives, being emerging cooperative, in progress cooperative, or the cooperatives that want to operate a change of scale. And the use of the tool is to make them able to professionalize. We created workshops and tools whose aim are to define boundaries, framework, and economic model of a renewable energy production cooperative, and as well to test and improve the tool and to make it available for other cooperatives. So double aim for us and for you, and for others. And this is not an only tool, but you will see more in details what problem it answers. Our main problem was to answer the question: how can we enable risk groups to identify their needs and capacities of professionalization? So we had different stage of maturation of cooperatives. Some were only emerging, some had a long history behind them, and we needed to take a decision in a complex context, meaning we have indices, we have clues at human, economic, or territorial scale, but these possibilities and constraints they needed to be linked to their context, and this is sometimes quite difficult to represent the complexity of the situation every co can be in. So, and sectorially, we tried to find tools to answer to problematics of governance, of territory, of entrepreneurship, and of business model. And the tools we used are tools of self-evaluation, so that every group can take it and make it by himself. The first tool is, so I have four. The first problematic is social business model, and how we could use this tool is to define as precisely as possible the planned economic model. So we'll go deeper in the cost structure, in the resources, in the type of people we are dealing with, in the added value of the project, and in the relation with the participants to the project. You will see behind nothing very new, but a business model Canva, which can be known by most of you, or maybe just not known, and we know it's a useful tool. You will discover after. Second usage regarding to territory. The idea there is to define the best territorial perimeter for the development of this activity. It's not always easy to say, okay, we are in a, we don't want to take members and to make renewable energy project after it's 20 kilometers from this point, or after the perimeter of this type of public authority. And so we had this question, we asked ourselves, how can we identify geographic boundaries, and what is the critical size that we need to attain to be economically viable? So we tried to get deeper in this understanding of the territory of our project. Third usage, to be used with governance. We are a group of members in a cooperative, and they know stakeholders. They have views on their the ecosystem they are living in, and they want to get deeper relationships with certain types of stakeholders, such as public authorities, for example. But the mapping of all these stakeholders is not always easy to realize on even on a small territory. So we tried a tool, a collective tool, to put this on the paper, so that every member of the cooperative can see where and who we are dealing with. So it will identify cooperators, partners, customers, competitors, and observers, and with the objective to sometimes mutualize, and sometimes just to know better the local ecosystem. The last one is about entrepreneurship. This is a key thematic that we think can help a cooperative to be viable on long term. And we try to evaluate with a tool the competencies and resources so that we can guarantee the success of the enterprise. And this referential of competencies can be used not only with employees of the company, but as well with members of the network and volunteers in the cooperative. So we try to determine functions and missions to evaluate competencies internally and externally available. So the last part of the presentation is description of the tools. I will go through slides just as if you were participating to a workshop that we did, and by the end of each workshop presentation, you will have a glimpse of what the result was for Les Sept Vents, and then after you can discuss on concrete results. So we have 4 workshops with an image borrowed to Interreg Europe. The first is the positioning tree, just to ice break. It's a roundtable with tool with participants, and we'll often use this kind of icebreakers with our community. The second is a social business Canva to define the economic model boundaries. The third, a map, a collective map to map the ecosystem and to identify cooperators, partners, customers, competitors, and observers. And the last, referential of competencies that aim to define the function and missions for the functioning of a citizen cooperative society. So the first one, the positioning tree, it's a simple tree with some figures, some people in the tree, and you can ask your participant to imagine he is a character on the tree, and to explain the other why it chose this character. It permits to introduce oneself, to get started with the digital tool as well, because this can be done online with a map and an on-site online tool. And for people not that use it for the first time, it's an easy exercise to get started with the digital tool. And it can as well permit to target expectations of your public, and to envisage possible contribution of them. So I don't have the result for Les Advents, but you have this with some post-it saying it's me, and I chose this character because I'm shy, because I need to be helped, or because I feel confident and I feel like I can participate a lot to this workshop. The second tool and workshop is about business model Canva. So as I said, it's not it's quite a common tool. The less common is the social business Canva, which also takes in account externalities of the economic model we are looking at. So this Canva described the rationale of how an organization creates, delivers, and captures value in economic, social, cultural, and other contexts. You can look on Wikipedia. It's an open model. So there you have a definition of what is a business model that you can share with your participants, so that they understand what's behind this keyword. And it's a logic for creating added value for customer, and there we create social added value and not economical added value for customers, and as well economical. So it's not only for customers, but as well, in our case, for participants or beneficiaries. And the idea as well is to see how revenue is generated. And to make the difference with between a business model and a business plan, the business model is the framework behind the business plan, and the business plan is a strategic and operational implementation of the business model logic. So the Canva, it looks like this for a business model Canva. So at the center, you have the value proposition, what you bring to your beneficiaries, customer, or participants. On the left, on the right, you have all that is dealing with relationships, how you communicate with customer or participants, how you distribute your service or your product, who are your customer and participants. So relationship. On the other side, it's more internal. It's your key activities, your key resources, your key partners. How you will do. What will you do to propose your social added value? And on the bottom, you have the cost structure and the revenue stream, which are the main economical parts. And in a social business model Canva, you also take in account under the financial streams the externalities, negative externalities and positive externalities. It's quite important for renewable to be able to say that more of the value proposition of doing a cooperative renewable energy project, we also have a positive externality, which is less pollution, and some negative externalities, which are some impacts on the environment. So with post-its and with the group, we propose people to fill in this business model Canva with their cooperative project, and we detail in each part of the Canva So the participant segment, what's inside, it's a block defining different groups of individuals or organizations targeted by your company or organization, in our case. The social value proposition, it describes a combination of products and services that create value for a given customer segment. Customer is not only customer, but participant or beneficiary segment. The distribution channel, how you communicate and get in contact with your participant, the relationship with the participant, that describes the types of relationships, being a contract or an informal relationship for some of them. Then you have the income stream. I already told about this. It's how you generate incomes, key resources, what are your competencies within the cooperative, key activities, what you will do and who will do this. The network of providers and partners in your ecosystem, what you will use externally from your company, and the cost structure, which is where you spend your money. And then the positive and negative externalities, which are impacts outside from the organization, for example, in society and environment. This is the main part that we make the promotion and we make our cooperative project about. So we give the instruction to our group of participants, and they place post-its on the constitutive elements. It you need to reformulate, to re-explain, to help them to go in the detail of the different blocks of the Canva. And then at the end, you can conclude. You don't have a perfect solution to this exercise, but at least it created a momentum. They discussed one with the other about what they want to do together and how they do it and to whom they do it. And you can make a roundtable of feelings and potential improvement of what you realized during this workshop, and to see with them if next steps have been made possible by this workshop. So the picture, just to illustrate this conclusion, is that it's only a small tool but that make communicate about big stakes. For example, for what else, and this I could share, it's in French. We have done together this filled in together this business model Canva, and another way of reading it is at the center you have why you are doing this, what is your added value, what you want to do. On the other side, for whom do you do it? On the other side, what are we doing exactly? And just on the bottom, how do we do it? And then it's a way to explain your activity. So that's it for the second workshop. The two last one will be shorter, and then I let you for your questions if you have some. So workshop 3 is about ecosystem mapping. There we have only one slide, and that can be embedded, for example, on Miro. Miro is an online tool where you can do post-its and draw some things. And here the canvas that we are proposing is a mapping of the ecosystem. In Les Advents, we have 3 kinds of members. First kind of members is physical person like you and me. And the second type of members, it's not physical person, moral person, of private law, ruled by private law, or ruled by public law, for example, public authorities. And in the other one, enterprises, or associations or networks. So we have divided this category into networks on the right, and enterprises, companies or association on the top. For people ruled by public law, we divided them into public authorities, where people are elected, and institution, where people are elected as well, but who have another status at representing a territory. The circles are as well to be understood. The blue, the lighter blue circle is the circle of members of Les Advents. So in our members, we have we can there put them in the light blue circles. In the dark blue cycle, we'll have partners or clients of Sedvan. And then in the white part of where you have no cycle, you have people that are not members, not partners, and not clients. And our main idea, when you have put them all with post-its on this map, is to say, these people who is in the right white zone, how can we make him come in the light blue zone and become a member? What would convince him to be a member and to be on board with Les Advents? And sometimes we just forget someone, and we have put it there, and we say, oh yes, we should propose him something. It will interest him to be involved with us in our project. So yeah, and for people that don't know the ecosystem, the local ecosystem, it's an easy mapping system to have it all in one page. So the instructions are just there, right on the post-it, the natural or legal person names who are part of the ecosystem, and place them in the defined areas. The conclusion for this workshop as well is a roundtable of feelings. Did it help you to have a better understanding of the ecosystem? Do you have a particular link with such organization? Can you make them come in the inner circle of Sedvan members? And as well, yeah, to show that this we need to be organized to discuss and to work with all of this ecosystem if we want to be efficient. So for Les Advents, there you cannot read, but as well in the study, we have this ecosystem detailed for Les Advents. We took decision, as I said before, to go and get someone with external more inside Les Advents following this exercise. Last workshop, I don't know where I am with the time. No, not so bad. Just tell me if I need to stop.
5 minutes.
5 minutes? Okay, it will be just, okay. So the last one, the referential of competencies. So we have this amount of people in communities, in organizations, in individuals or organization, and we need them to help us to do our project. And for this, we tried to describe the different tasks that we need to implement to see a photovoltaic project happen in Normandy. So we defined the function and the mission of our cooperative society and the activities of them. And then we double checked if these skills were present already in Les Advents, or in less advanced members, or in less advanced ecosystem. And we as well evaluated if some of them could be mutualized with other organizations. So for this workshop, the first step was to write down on a post-it the different missions to be completed to carry out citizen energy projects, and to place them in a chronological and thematic framework. We have a picture there of, and it's an exercise as well that we use with the game of Énergie Partagée, with the different steps of renewable energy projects. It has a very pedagogical effect on people that don't know a lot in renewable energy projects. And the second step was to go further and to add skills and responsibilities to this activity framework, and and to add them as post-its once again, or on a digital cooperative tool. It's another possibility to be online. So there's the main idea of the conclusion of the workshop is to say that we need people. We need you to help us to do our project, and we are not alone. And this whole ecosystem is full of competencies, and if we want to be the more efficient we can, we need to go and get these competencies and these volunteers as well outside from our small cycle of members. And again, we let, of course, people intervene, give their feeling and their ideas of improvement to be made to our organization after this. So this is again not very readable, but there you can see technical activities, animation activities, which is community activities, community management, gestion de projet, which is project management, administrative, juridical and financial, communication activities, and then we detailed the different missions behind these thematics. We tried to see if we had some competencies in our inner circle, or if we needed them, if we had a salary or volunteers that could take care of this kind of activity, if he could have external support by another organization or another people in our ecosystem, and if we can do it not only for us, but mutualized with these people in the ecosystem. It's yeah, and this array, this tab helped us to see on what we have our priorities of work for what else, and then to evaluate if our model was efficient enough to go to investment and to be viable. So in conclusion, for my presentation today, I hope, and my aim was that you can take this tool for you and try to use them with your communities. We have a study where these tools are presented, and we can give you the templates that I showed there. There you have the template of slides, but we have also everything in Excel or in PowerPoint so that you can reuse them. And I hope it will help to have these results. I think it's Friend of the Earth or WeScoop, I don't know, who made this this image where 264 million people in the EU could produce their own electricity. So that's a project we want to help with. I wanted to help with this presentation. I hope this will be the case, and I'm available for any question. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Florian, for taking us through the what else methodology and the self-assessment tools, the workshops that can help us strengthen our energy community and the entrepreneurship in our community. I think we learned that if you want to accelerate the energy transition, you can't do it alone. We need each other, and the most important thing is that we bring the right person on the right spot with the right skills and the right competences. So once everybody is on the right spot and we can use their skills, we can grow our organization. And as you told us, by doing it as well outside the organization through our network, bringing the people in the network on the right spot and learning from each other, that will really give the whole movement speed, and everybody can gain of the entrepreneurship in the whole network. I think there will be some questions or remarks, people interested in the workshops on which Florian talked. So if you have a question or another remark, please use the small raising hand, or the hand you can raise in the reactions, and then we can give you the floor by opening your mic. Thank you.
One question from Just. Just, can you ask your question directly if you want?
Yeah, it works. You hear me? Okay. Well, thank you very much for your for what you told us. It was very interesting. But my questions were: how do you acquire the results? What kind of tools you have for that? What time do you need to see any of those results you want to achieve? On the average, if you look at the cooperative, when you do this kind of SWOT analysis, how long does it take, or what kind of process are you start?
I'm not sure to get every of your question, but because there is the workshop time, so for these 4 workshops, I would say one day is good to take one full day to do it, depending on the side of your community. If you have maybe 20 participants, one full day is okay, or 2 half a day. And talking about the results maybe of our community, I don't know, for example, PV community PV, it's like 3-4 years. It's kind of difficult in Normandy, and wind turbines, it can be 7 years to get it to make it real.
But you're still using that process, and those 4 workshops, you can how do you call it? You can improve them during time, the new circumstances and everything. So who's watching this process? Is that your organization?
I think it's participative evaluation. People that participate watch the result and say, and they use them for new members. Look, we did this map together last year. You are a new member. Is it the same map? Yeah. But we use it between ourselves, and nobody is saying us. Nobody evaluates it in a formal way.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
Any other question from someone for Florian?
Nothing in the chat.
In the chat. It's one of yours as well, so I think that that one is already answered. We will gather all the presentations of this afternoon and this evening, and they will send you after the meeting, probably tomorrow, by mail. So every participant will have copies of the presentations. So also the contacts of the speakers will be shared by these presentations, and if there are any questions afterwards, I think everybody will be available for having an answer per mail or another way. Okay, if we have no further questions on Florian, then I'll say thanks again, Florian.
Thank you again.
Seems very clear when there are no more questions, but it was very inspiring. So we go on to the next topic, which is digital tools to manage energy communities. And we have two presentations on two tools. The first is the Cope Hub tool of Énergie Partagée, which will be presented to you by Eric Bureau. And afterwards, there is a presentation on the tool Econobis by René van Vliet. So I invite Eric to start his presentation on the Cope Hub tool. Thank you.
Hi, do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you very good.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I don't succeed to share my screen.
Je sais pas si vous avez d'autres échanges sur le fond avant qu'on regarde la forme du livrable et le calendrier. Du coup,
Is it okay? Do you see my screen?
It's there, Eric. You can start. Yeah, fine.
Okay, thank you. So I will present you why we developed Cope Hub and what it is exactly. So just for a few words about Énergie Partagée. So it's like Rescope in France. So we are helping community energy to develop, and there is three parts in Énergie Partagée, three main topics. It's helping and training citizen and local authority to develop their own project, to speak about it and to make it well known by every citizen, and to help to finance the project. So why Cope Hub? Because when we speak about energy communities, we see that we think about happy citizens who deal with a project, but for some administrators of this cooperative, it's more like this. It's like just dealing with a lot of subscription form, and it's not super interesting. So some of them start to say, okay, we need a tool to make it easier, and we prefer to spend time dealing with our project more than dealing with a subscription form. So sorry, I just need to get back my screen. Sorry for that.
Ok, très bien. Donc apparaître.
And so in 2018, communities energy in Occitanie, in the south of France, start to a focus group about a new tool for helping them. So before, they have a lot of data everywhere, many data in Excel, and some of these cooperatives lose some data. So it was really becoming a boring part of the project, and they really want to start to work on on a project numeric tool to manage a subscription. And they start with a benchmark, and then they found the copper project, which was developed by Westcott Quadoni. And we join them instead of recreate something new, and that's that's why we are here today. It's to tell you that CoPub is already existing. It's not a totally finalized product. It's a developing product, but it's here, and maybe it's cheaper and more efficient that we all get together in the same project, instead of recreate our own software in every country. So what's CoPub? So main features are like an application form, online application form. So we don't need paper anymore. There is legal signatures for countries who need it, like in France. It's not needed in Belgium, but it's needed in France. You can deal and sell every type of financial securities, like shareholder shares, like loan, like bond, and etc. You can personalize the main page of your CoPub, and there is automation email. So every step of the application or the future cooperator is receive email to know where is the state. Yes, sorry, there is something at my office. I can't have another room for today, so sorry for that. And in the other side, there is an the owner account, so he can find all his doc in the same place. He can upload his credential, IDs, and etc. He can update his personal data, and he can buy or sell his financial securities. And you also can have certificates automatically, so administrators don't have to send every time new certificates for people. So that's the look of some page of CoPub. So there is a subscription form. You can put your data. You can choose your communication way. You can choose a username and password. You can choose what you want to buy in this cooperative and how much. And you can sign by SMS. That's it. And then this is the cooperator account. So he will find all his data. He can upload his document. He can check if this is a numerical signatures works, etc. And then there is an admin account, so you can deal with all the settings of your cooperative, put your logo, colors, and etc. You can define which financial securities you own in this cooperative. You can also import records from your old system. You can manage the subscription, and you will have all data per cooperators and all transactions of these cooperators if you need it. You can have more than one campaign at the same time, so you can sell shares in a way, and in the other way you can have loan or bonds in the same time. And sorry for the green part is not translate. At the beginning of the next years, we will have the new model, which is dealing with a dividend, so calculation and tax declaration for fiscal part. So that's about the main features and how it works for CoPub. So we create a European cooperative society, like Macy's or like the Mobility Factory. And in this cooperative, there is Westcop Academy, there is Energy Partagée for France, maybe you or your federation after. And there is Wipus, which is the first main developer of the software. Now it's developed by salaries in the cooperative, and Walter, which is a social financing tool in Belgium. And so there is a board with all those people for the corporate governance, and for the development strategy, we have focus group with the admin who use COPUB day to day. And after that, so we know what they need, what is working well, and what is to improve. And then with all this information, we have a technical steering communities with the super admin. So it's like me for Energy Partagée and another administrator for Westcop Academy. And we exchange with the development team about all the need of the administrators. So it's really, it's always developed for what it's needed for the cooperative. And for the support part, we have separate the support between a super admin, so someone from the federation who will be in direct contact with the administrator of the cooperative. So, for example, I do the COP setting and the first training for administrator. I help them to import data, and then we have a group training for each time there is new features, so everyone can be able to use it. Then we have direct support. So if someone have a problem with the logiciel because they don't know how to use this or this part, or maybe they do mistakes, I can help them. And then if it's about debugging program, I transfer the needs to the development team. So COPUB is now available for every cooperative. It's a new project, so you can't tell tonight and have a COPUB tomorrow, because we need a bit of time to import you and to help you to set your cooperative. But it's now available, and it's available in French, English, and German. And I think I think it's so that's okay for me for this short presentation. Maybe if you have questions, it would be more interesting to respond directly.
C'est bon pour vous? On s'arrête là?
Okay. Is it okay when we do also the next presentation with René now? Because I think there are some parallel things to be talked about, so that would be interesting to have the questions afterwards and have the answers of as well René as Eric on those topics. So I give floor to Eric then. Eric, is it okay to start? Yes. Yeah, it's coming up. There it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you. A similar story as Co-op, but then developed in the Netherlands. And to give you a little bit of background, in the Netherlands, we have around about 600 active energy communities, and these are having in total 70,000 members. And most active are these energy communities on producing renewable energy. So they have solar parks and they have windmills. And what these energy communities are also doing are helping citizens in the energy or the heat transition to make measurements in their homes so that they can have savings. In the Netherlands, we also have 2 cooperative energy suppliers, and they have around about 20,000 customers. So traditionally, the Netherlands is much more bigger in producing energy with these energy communities than in having cooperative energy supplies. So page down. Now must I go to the next slide? Yeah. What is Economus? I can also tell you what is Economus not. It is not an energy exchange platform. It's not a tool to develop a business case for the energy communities, or it's a billing system for energy supplies. It's also not an accounting program, and also not a community program. But what is it? It is a little bit more for the boring stuff you have to do in the back office of your system. That is also what Erik was starting with, this picture of somebody sitting with big piles of papers next to him. What does it do? It does member registration. That on itself is not so difficult, because you can buy a lot of solutions for membership registration. But what makes Economus special is that it is also administration of participants in projects. So those have bonds or loans, or they have certificates. And in Economus, you can register them. And also what Economus does, it is helping energy communities to support their members when they want to realize savings. So if you can see what solutions do we have. In Central, we have the contacts, and the contacts that are the members. There we have the member registration. Also, we have the project and crowdfunding registration. We have the saving journey for helping people for realizing savings. We have made connections. For instance, if you have a website of your own energy community, you can connect the forms on your website directly to Economus, because everything which is filled in the form of your own website is then automatically loaded into Economus. What we also have, we have a connection with the accounting program, which is called Twinfield. And also we have a connection with La Posta. La Posta is a kind of solution like MailChimp, but then a Dutch solution. And separately, we also have the home dossier, and the home dossier is a tool which a citizen or inhabitant can use to look in his own home and to look for saving measures, what he can do. And he can use this tool to get an advice, where to start. Do I start with isolating my walls, or do I start with isolating my rooftop? So we are now active since 2017. In total, we have now 160 energy communities who are using Economus. And within these energy communities, we have around about 600 users. So these are volunteers or employees of the energy communities who are working in the system of Economus. In total, we have now 66,000 plus contacts registered. We have around about 450 solar and wind projects. And with our crowdfunding module, we already collected for the energy community around about 8 million euros. And also this home dossier, in which people can say their own or set up their own house, we have around about 10,000 of these home dossiers. So this is what you see if you log into the system. There you have a local screen, and in this local stream, you see in the mid all the contact information. So his name, his address, email, or who is his current energy supplier. And next to this contact, you have the information, all the email which is sent to this contact and which you receive from that contact. Also, you see here what kind of projects this person is joining. And project, I mean, which loan or bond or certificate he has in a solar or in a wind project. Intakes and chances is in which part is he in the energy savings. Also, we have groups, so you can have a news group letter or a group for newsletters, so you can send everybody a newsletter. You can also bill your membership, so billing is a part of it, and also you can share or you can upload documents. So in one view, you see the member, and all the things next to it is what is connected to his member. But membership, like I told, is not so very difficult. You can easily buy that on the market. But what it makes it special is what kind of participation does this person have in the project. The project here is called the solar project, the big windmill. And this contact is called Mama Economus. She is then a member of this project. In totally, you can see here below in the 1st of August or 4th of August, she said, I want to have 4 bonds. And she has in total now 4 bonds, which are in total €2. But you also can calculate the interest, which has to be divided to these persons. And you see she received €1 of interest. One of our cooperative, which is in Economus, that is Deltawind, and Deltawind is the owner of the Kramer Wind Park, and the Kramer Wind Park is owned by a cooperative, which is around about 30 windmills. They have registered all their bond members in Economus, and each year totally they pay out €800,000 on interest and on aflossing. Aflossing is on payback on it. And that's calculated by Economus, and also from Economus there comes a SEPA file which you can upload to the bank, and then it can be paid out. So that's one thing which makes Economus special. And the other thing which is making it special is the crowdfunding. Members can log into their own portal where they can see their own information, but also in this they can get access to a part of the project, and that is several steps. It starts with I want this, I want to have 5 of these or €50 spendings. Then you give in your own specific context, like your address and your bank account. Then you say, I agree with the conditions, with voorwaarden. And next step is confirm, and confirm that says, I want this number, I know the conditions, and I confirm that I want to have them. And also what is able that you can have direct payment if you want that. So the second step is what we do in Economus. It is what we call the bewonersreis. It's the Inhabitants Journey. So cooperative support inhabitants in the decision making, where to start when you want to improve your house and to make it ready for the future, or on the end you want to heat up your house without gas. What steps has to be taken? And the community or the energy community can support in that. And they get funding for that by doing that from the government to support the users. It starts in general with activations. So you send out newsletters, you organize campaigns, or you organize webinars, and you have in your neighborhood, you say, okay, we want to do this and this and this. Yes. Based on that, you get an activation, and that's going on and on. Then you ask for an advice, and that advice can be done by an expert or by an energy concierge or an energy coaches. A lot of cooperatives have energy coaches, which are volunteers, and they're helping and sitting with the inhabitants to make decisions. And for this, the energy coach also use this home dossier. So in home dossier, the user or the inhabitant says, I have this kind of house with this kind of rooftop. I have already isolated my floor. I have already done this and this. And then the system calculates and says, okay, next step would be for you to install solar panels or to install solar or isolation on your roof. And it will save you this amount of money. Now, that's the advice. Based on that advice, it goes to a kind of supplier network that cooperative has. They say to a supplier, hey, we have a user or an inhabitant, and they want to install solar. Please help this inhabitant to install solar. Then solar is installed. Then the cooperative or the energy community calls again and says, did everything go well? And then next step, what next step could the inhabitant do? It's all a circle to stimulate the user to make next steps in isolating or in better make improvements in his house. This is the home dossier. Here you see if you have asked or you have filled in a lot of questions. It has a so-called woonplan. They say here, this is the wall isolation. It's okay. The glass or the windows are okay. What could be now the next step to do? For instance, isolate the rooftop or place a solar boiler or make new glass, better glass. And what could you do in a later stage? So also the inhabitant can take these buttons and they say, oh no, I want to do that in a later stage. And here below, you see then what kind of investment he has to take and what kind of saving he could calculate. This is on a level that a normal user with the help of an energy coach can kind of get an advice of what next steps to take. What is the governance and the ownership? In the Netherlands, we have the cooperative Energie Samen, and the cooperative Energie Samen is the branch organization of all these 600 or 700 energy communities in the Netherlands. And the cooperative Energie Samen is a 100% shareholder of a private company, which is called Energie Samen. Then we have a lot of users, and we have of these users a member council. Like I told you, we have around about 600 or 160 users, and these member councils is coming together and they define what kind of actions the Energie Samen Economics has to do. Tonight, for instance, we have again a member council, and there we will discuss the budget of next year. What do we get from the energy communities, and what kind of money can be spent on developing new functions? But we're also discussing the roadmap, what kind of new functionalities we have to develop. And there, these member councils have the saying in that what should be done by economics. But also the members are also part of the General Assembly of Energie Samen. So on the end, they could say as a member to the Energie Samen and say, hey, something is wrong with this economics, you have to do something about it. So economics is owned by the cooperative. And that's my story and what I wanted to tell you.
Thank you, René, and also Eric for the presentations. I'm happy to discover that a presentation on the boring stuff, as René called it, still can be inspiring. Eric and René learned us that it is good entrepreneurship to optimize the workload in your community by digitalizing your eco, and that there are effective tools to help you with the Coop Hub and Econobis on membership and shares registration certificates, also functions to calculate or analyze topics as dividends and fiscal duties, but also you can make connections towards new services for members by connecting with their needs and giving them a first step towards technical support. So it's all interesting to see, as well as spotting chances and searching for crowdfunding could also be arranged. So I can imagine that some of you have some burning questions for Eric or René, so I would say shoot and raise a hand. And I know that Johan has already a question because he had it already between the two presentations. So I suggest that he starts.
Thank you. Yeah, both very, very useful contributions, I must say. And I'm from Belgium. We're using a tool indeed, like Dirk pointed out in the chat, called DAR, but this is much more extensive, much more interactive as well with the shareholders. But I have a technical question, I'm afraid, around this. That is, are you also taking care of GDPRS rules and conventions in the application?
If you want, I can tell that for you. For first, it starts. The energy community is the so-called data responsible, and so the energy community himself is responsible for having the privacy guaranteed, and he uses a tool like Econos, and for that we have so-called. In Dutch, it's called a verwerkingsovereenkomst. And in that, we explain what we do. And for us, the main focus is that we have security in place that not other people who are not rightfully can get to the data. So we have a lot of security measurements in place that nobody can enter Econovus and get the data from Econos. The rest, it's very simple. For instance, the person has the right to know what kind of information you store. You can easily get that out of Econovus because Econovus is one package and you can get the data out of it. He also has the right to change the data if it's not right. Okay, if you give him the data, this is what I know about you. You can also easily change that in our system. And also the right to be forgotten, so you can easily delete a person from Econovus.
Okay, thank you.
I think before using this kind of tools, communities use Excel files or other not done for this solution. So if you have an Excel file and if you have like 4 or 6 administrators that deal with the subscription, you have these files copy and paste everywhere on a cooperative server, on a 6 computer. So the data you have is like super accessible and really not secured. But if you have all this data well packaged in a secured software on the server, like everyone can easily access, every administrator can easily access, but it's really more secured than before. So it's really more GDPR than an Excel solution.
Yeah. But on the other end, I see we have all centrally everything in Econovus, but you can also make a lot of exports out of Econovus, of your memberships, etc. And that is being done a lot by all these energy communities. And then I say you have all these Excel files on all laptops or on all PCs of all your volunteers. How are you acting on that? Are you sure that this laptop is not stolen? So these memberships are in other hands? Or for instance, if they send me an Excel with membership information, they send it without the password on it, etc., etc. So to get rid of all the Excels, like Eric is saying, would be a nice step to have a centrally stored.
The next question from Jost.
Yes. Now I was wondering about the governance of crowdfunding itself. How is it monitored by the central bank, or what is happening on that side?
I can tell you hours about that. The first step is that as a cooperative, as an energy community, you are your own entrepreneur, and you are allowed to get funding from members without a permit. In the Netherlands, without a permit from the AFM. So you are, as a company, allowed to get funding, so to give bonds or loans or whatever. So you don't need a permit for that, because you, and if you then, as an energy cooperative, use a tool for yourself, you can do that. And next thing is, if you have funding in the Netherlands for less than 5 million euros, you are not having the obligation to make a prospectus, which has to be approved by the AFM. So if you are getting money less than 5 million euros, you have to make a prospectus, so information bulletin for your users, but you only have to say this is not approved by the AFM. You have to inform the AFM that you are getting this money, but that's only to say I am getting this money. There's another step in this, is that, for instance, that you have the obligation to look at what kind of people are investing in your company, and you have to look if there are white persons and not criminals, for instance. Also, if you are a company like an energy community or cooperative, you are not a part of this so-called WTFT, the fraude. You are not have that obligation. But banks are coming and saying, hey, you are getting money from citizens. Did you check that? And you can say, okay, I don't have that obligations, but the bank will give you that obligation. And then we have a kind of procedure. We say, for instance, that we allow only people to pay from a Dutch bank account. And if we receive the money, we check the bank account, which is known in our system, and also we check the name on which this bank account is. So if your bond is on the name of René van Vliet, we also check if your bank account is on the name of René van Vliet. So in that, and then you say the bank are controlling if there's not that money on the bank account, so you can trust on it that you did. But that you do that below a amount of around about 10,000 euros. And then we say if it's more than 20,000 or 10,000 euros, you can do then a kind of check. For instance, you Google and you look at the five results, and you look if you find something strange of that man. So in this way, we have organized that you have control of who is investing in your company.
Thank you very much.
Eric, something different in France?
It's exactly the same since last year's. The only difference is that the step is at 8 million euros, which is the maximum authorized by the European Union. So otherwise, it's exactly the same way. If you're in an energy community, you can raise money on your own.
Yeah, but then Joost, in the Netherlands, you have a kind of platforms like One Planet Crowd or Duurzaam Investeren, and they do crowdfunding for you. But these platforms are advising the customer and saying, hey, this is the right advice. And therefore, they need a special permit from the AFM.
Yeah.
And that's a very difficult permit to get. But if you are, like you said, you are an energy cooperative and you use your own tool, you are allowed to raise money. So no problem.
And do you have experience on the business side? Because we're working on industrial zones with communities, and we are starting to implement these communities and try to formalize them and connect them to an energy platform.
For sharing energy?
Yes.
Yeah, but I suppose that will be more this discussion this evening, because I also in these kind of energy tooling, etc. But that's a different subject than economics. Economics for the board.
No, of course I understand, but you have experience. I ask you if you have experience with the industrial zones grouping, or
what do you want to do then in that industrial zone?
We like to have all the participants of an industrial zone working together on sustainability, and we group them depending their needs in different on different themes, and try to organize it.
Yeah, and you are from Zwolle, Joost?
No, I'm not from Zwolle, but if you want me, I don't care. No, I'm from the south of Holland, so I'm from near Tilburg.
Okay, yeah. What last time I had a person from Zwolle, and he says I want to set up a cooperative for an industrial environment. And then, he said he wants to registration of the members that can be done in Economics, but he also wants to advise the companies in what steps they have to take, because they have the obligation to make measurements by law. But this is a specific parts which we do not support. We support households how to make next steps.
Okay.
But we don't support that journey which a company has to do. And I don't know, I'm not aware about a tool which can do that.
No, well, we probably will need it for the next Northwest Europe plan.
Okay, we take the next question from Tony.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Eric and Renee. Very nice presentations. My question is, which are and why should energy cooperatives use cooperative tools? I have seen by myself in Lochem Energy that if you start too early and you use already a software bought at the market, then you don't want to change to a corporate tool anymore. What is your experience, and how can I get my board on to use cooperative instruments?
I have respect. If I look at the future, I believe that producing energy is not anymore any problem. I foresee a future that we have a big tech is coming, and big tech is organizing and controlling which system has to produce and which user has to use. So a house mother comes at home at 6 o'clock, and she asks her, can I now start cooking? And then Uber is saying, no, sorry, your neighbor is coming home, has a Tesla, and he's paying more for loading his Tesla, so you have to wait till 9 o'clock. So if big tech is coming and they are taking over the digitalization of the energy market, we will have a big problem. So I believe personally very much that we should own our own data, and we should also have our own algorithms and controlling. So if you look at the platform economy in the future, that is determining who is well or not as successful. So we have to start somewhere with having our own tools. And then I said, let's start boring with our own tools for having our membership fees, etc. Also, what I said about this, if in the future we will know in the energy transition, we have to get rid of gas and we have to step over. If we know what people and what is their mindset, are they willing to make measurements? How are their houses looking? What kind of measurements did they already take? If you have all this data, you can go to the government as an energy community and say, you have this strategy for this village, but we have the data because we know what kind of people who are they thinking about and what kind of measurements they already have taken. And if you have that data, you have a proposition to go to the government and say, we have a proposition. So I personally totally believe if you want to be more part of the platform economy in the future, and also to have all this data, you should organize that yourself in a cooperative way.
Thank you, René.
Eric, do you want to add something? Or?
I think I'm for the political vision. I'm totally agree with René. And if you use a tool, you pay it. So you have to choose who you pay for your service and who will do the service in next year and in 10 years. So that's really why we want to create our own system. And CoPub is not yet an open source software because it's a new project and it's not so easy to deal with an open source system to accept all the proposition of contributors. So it's not yet an open source program, but it's one of the objectives of CoPub. So once CoPub really stable enough, it will be open source. And if CoPub the CoPub use the cooperative and is system, you still have the program and you can still use it on your own server. So CoPub is offered as a service, but in 1 or 2 years you will be also able to download CoPub and to install it on your own server and to deal data on yourself. So you will be totally you are already proprietor of your data, but at this point you could also just deal yourself with the data. So you're 100% sure that no one can access to it. Today, if I want, I can access to data of people. I'm not allowed to do that, and we trust. There is the high level of trust between our cooperative. But in 1 or 2 years, you can also use the software as you want. And one of the next step of CoPub is to be able to be integrated directly on your website. So the administration page will be still on CoPub, but the subscription form will be on your own website. So it's totally transparent for people. If they already have an account on your website, they can also buy shares without recreating a new account.
Thank you.
The next question from Sean.
Hi, thanks, Nicholas. Yeah, I was just questioning actually in relation to the shares. I don't know what the regulations are in the Netherlands or in France, but is it possible, for example, for a member of one co-op to buy shares through the platform in a project from another co-op, or how does that work?
No, yes and no. Every cooperative has its own environment, but in this law, it said if you are a cooperative, you are allowed to raise your own money. But if you want to raise money for another cooperative, then you are seen as a kind of advisory, and then you need a permit for that. So if you want to raise money for another cooperative, then you need to have that permit, which is very, very difficult to get. So we say, as a cooperative, if you raise your own money with a tool like Economus, then you can do it. If you want to do it for another, and that's not allowed. And then you need to use a tool or other crowdfunding platforms.
Okay, but what I mean is, if I'm another co-op member and I know that, for example, Nicholas's co-op is running a project, I then have no way to access to make an investment through in Nicholas's project through the platform. Is that what I?
Oh, that's determined by the cooperative. You see, for instance, in the cooperative, they raise money. They need, for instance, 10 million for their project, and of these 10 millions, they get 8 millions from the bank. So they have to raise themselves 2 million euros, and therefore they use Economus. And then you see that they are they want to keep it locally. So they say, please, you all can participate, and preferably they do it locally. And they say, if we have more requests, for instance, they need 2 millions and they get requests for 3 millions from your neighbor or from somebody from Groningen, from the north of the Netherlands. They first collect all the requests and then they divide the request in the way they have set up before. They say, first, everybody in a circle of 2 kilometers around this project are getting the shares. Next is the 10 kilometers. Or they say, for instance, people who are already member of the cooperative have more sayings of the verdedigers. So it's the way the cooperative is defining that. And you mostly say they want to keep it locally, to have local, there. Also, they limit the amount which you can get. They say, for instance, the total is maximum 10,000 euros, or sometimes they do it lower because they want to have more participants. But that's up to the energy community to say that.
Okay, thank you.
Is that an answer to your question? Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks a million.
In CoopUp, you can have one account to deal your transaction with many cooperatives, but as when they say, you have to make it clear for the subscriber that CoopUp is not an advisor. CoopUp is just a software used by the cooperative to raise money, to administrate it, but it's not a counselor. So in CoopUp, we try to deal it with, I will share. Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
So every cooperative have its own personalization. So you can see here there is the logo, the color. So and the URL here is like coopup.energypartage. It's like a subdomain of Energy Partage. So as it's loading here. As for COWAT, it's a subdomain of COWAT. So that's how we try to make it clear to the subscribers that it's not equity crowdfunding platform, but once you're inside, you can have your subscription from many cooperatives, and you can buy others. You can buy to others. So you will go to the page of the other cooperative, but you have one account to deal with many cooperatives.
But that's difficult. In the end, you have a cooperative, and it's a mother organization, and below this mother organization, you have a private organization, a limited ID, for instance, and that's 100% ownership of the cooperative. And there already you have to look very, very good, because the cooperative, the mother, is not allowed to say, here, I can offer you a bond which is owned or which is owned by the limited, which is a daughter of me. The daughter herself, the limited, has to collect the money. But you can organize it like Erik is saying there.
Yeah, it's a question that's arising actually in terms of the structure that we will adopt here in Ireland to do this. Again, I think it may be a similar nature that we'll have to have a limited parent or a full entity owner. I don't know, we're looking at it.
Yeah. But as long, for instance, they also make different websites. The first is the website of the cooperative, and they have a separate website from the project. And on the website of the cooperative, they say, here, this is an initiative, and then they go to the separate website. And then on the website of the project, they press a button. I want to join, and then they come in the economic environment. They have to look and feel of that project.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Does have someone another question about the two presentation? I have nothing more in the chat. No, I had on my side also one question. It was about the ownership. We try with the tool CoopUp, but I think the same logic with Econobis to pool to pool the management with one tool, because it's very expensive to develop such tools. But then the more we pool a tool with a lot of people, a lot of communities, less at the national or regional or national or European level, then it's not possible to keep the power as a local community on the tool. So it's like a difficulty. If we develop big tools honing to all people, we can lose a part of ownership, and we will not be able to take different decisions depending of different type of communities. Or it's more philosophical question.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you look at these tools like Economist, which is for the boring stuff, we succeed that we could have a tool, because a membership tool is very easy to get, but a tool to registrate bonds and to calculate interest and these kind of things, it's not available on the market. At least maybe the banks will have them, but those will be very expensive. And also tools to support these users in energy savings. There are some companies coming up to deliver the tools, but the specific part of registration of bonds, etc., was so specifically for the energy community. So we were able to develop it ourselves for our energy communities. We still had to convince everybody that they would join us and would pay the money to a cooperative. There's also what Tony was saying. Some are not believing that we should have our own tools. They say, oh, there is a market. In the Netherlands, I only see one competitor, which has a similar tool like Economist. But if I look at the other tools, which are for energy sharing and for peer-to-peer delivery, or for instance, getting the flex out of households, of getting the flexibility out of solar parks. We are currently now setting up an aggregator, a cooperative aggregator in the Netherlands. And there I also wanted to have our own tools, our own open source tools, but very, very difficult. So there we said, let's focus on that we would have the data ourselves, but more important than the data, we should have our own algorithms. And there I see in Europe, some people are developing algorithms. I know, for instance, in France, they are developing algorithms for forecasting. And now in the Netherlands, we have set up a project. There we will start up an aggregator, and we will start with software from 2 companies who have the AMS system, and they have the controlling system, control pods. But we said we want to develop these algorithms ourselves. And there, for instance, we have a cooperation with a university, and they are making these algorithms. And what my personal dream would be that we as cooperatives in Europe would focus more on getting the algorithms and make a big pile of open source algorithms, and to have our focus more on that. Instead of, because to make an AMS system, that's, I would have that, very likely to have that also in our own hands, cooperative, and also open source. But on the other end, in Belgium, they are also developing an open source box based on Home Assist to get the flex from households. So there you see the first steps that we develop software open source in cooperative for controlling households.
I think about EMS, we can discuss about it this evening with 2 presentations on this topic. Eric, do you want to precise something? Or?
Sorry, I agree that the more you are mutualized, the difficult is to take a decision, because we are many we are more needs that if you are alone just also you on your cooperative. So, for example, for just right now on CoopHub, there is many modules that cooperative want, and we have 2 developers. So we can't develop everything on 222. So we have to make choice, and the choice are not or never well accepted by a cooperative. So that's why we need to go for to an open source project. So maybe if your cooperative want to develop something, you can find the developers that can do it, and then it will be added to the package. So another cooperative can use it also. But you will have to pay on yourself to this module. So that's also the big part. It's like everyone finds that the solution is quite expensive, and in the other ones, they are ready to pay their own development. So sometimes it's not really easy to have everyone happy with those software, because we are really use that software are free. Like Google is free, all these super well developed system are free for us. So we are quite used to that. And when we do our own development, we see how much it costs, and we see also how much Google earn money on our back. I don't know how to say that in English, but how much they steal us from our data.
Thanks, Eric. I don't see other question, Tom, but I would like to propose a question to all the participants. If they agree, they could answer to the question, do you find this afternoon at least one interesting tool for your communities or for future communities you would like to create? You can answer in the chat with yes or no, and then we can see how it was useful to share these 3 tools today. And then I can give the talk to Tom for the conclusion of this first part of the ECCO conferences. Right. Some people are inspiring. Tom, I'll let you do the conclusion of this first part.
Well, I'm happy that everybody is reacting enthusiastically on the question of Nicolas. So happy that the first part of our conference on the entrepreneurship in an ECCO is interesting and of value. And it is something that we learned this afternoon, that everybody is trying to get his organization more professionalized, and happy to see that there are a lot of tools and a lot of experiences with these tools. So hopefully the discussion can go on also after this conference, so everybody will find each other's contacts, and for sure the speakers will be available for some questions if there are any afterwards. So that's nice. For this